Let's go back to Seattle and join Warren Moon. And I'll say first that I appreciate his patience hanging in. Mr. Moon, good morning. How are you?
I am doing great. How you guys doing up there?
We're doing fantastic. As you can tell, hockey talk, so you know you're on the air in Canada. Warren, I'll first say, what is your situation in Seattle? Because the West Coast, Pacific Northwest, was hit first here with COVID. What's life been like for you in the last 2 months?
Yeah, we were kind of the epicenter of this whole thing as far as the United States was concerned. I think we had one of the first deaths here, and everybody was really looking at our little community up here as we don't get a lot of notoriety way up here in the Pacific Northwest, but because of this epidemic, all of a sudden now we were front and center. But things have really toned down. Our governor has done a great job of trying to keep things in place. Making sure everybody's keeping their social distancing, making sure everybody's washing their hands and doing all the different guidelines that everybody else is trying to do. And he's been very, very methodical about how he's opened up our state again as far as allowing different businesses and all that to open up. So it's probably slower than a lot of people want it to happen, but I think he's just trying to be extra careful because we've seen some of the other places that have opened up, they're starting to get some rises in their numbers of cases. So he doesn't want that to happen. But other than that, it's been interesting. You know, I'm a guy that does a lot of my business on the move. I travel a lot. I do a lot of appearances. I do a lot of speaking engagements and different things like that. And because of this pandemic, I haven't been able to move around as much, so I've been pretty much homebound and have really kind of had to, I guess, kind of redefine myself as far as some of the things that I've been doing now.
Yeah, but you were in that go world of pro football, so I would assume that you've enjoyed. Have you enjoyed just settling in and getting a rest, if anything?
I enjoyed it about a month ago.
Ready to get back.
I'm back ready I want to get going again. I'm antsy and I want to get out there. You know, I'm a guy that likes to be around people, and this is one thing that this pandemic has done is made us less social. You know, we're not able to touch people. We're not able to hug people. We're not able to, be close to people. And that's something that my life has always been. I've always been around people. So it's been tough, but I've made the adjustment.
I'm going to invite our viewers to ask questions, Warren, if that's okay with you, because they always ask the best ones. But I will ask you this. How much are you following the fortunes of the National Football League right now? Because there was not one day that Roger Goodell didn't say we're not playing or we're postponing. They've just said almost business as usual. I know that you're still doing work with the Seahawks. So are you expecting what they're saying, full stadiums kicking off on time in September?
Full stadiums I'm not sure of, but I think football is going to be played in some way, form, or fashion. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be produced, but I think you're going to see, 22 guys on the field playing against each other come this fall. Whether there's fans in the stands or not, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that if everybody continues to keep doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, and if we continue to keep the testing being more improved in that, I think there can be football and it can be played on time once September rolls around. I think everybody misses sports in general. I'm sure people up in Canada are dying because there's no hockey right now, and it's the same way down here with no baseball and the basketball playoffs were kind of discontinued. People love entertainment, and entertainment in sports has always been something that people could use to get away from when things are going bad. But now that when things are going bad because of this pandemic, you don't even have that to fall back on. So it's been a very, very tough situation for everybody around the world that loves sports, and it'll be great to be able to get it back.
There is, Warren, a common theme coming in from our viewers, and they want to know where you found the fountain of youth. At 63, man, what is your secret?
Just good genes, I guess. My mom, my mom and my dad. And I try and take really good care of myself. I try and eat right. I've always been a health freak growing up. Not so much health in like a Tom Brady health where I eat avocado ice cream and things like that, but always have been conscious of the things I put in my body, always making sure I'm drinking a lot of water. And growing up in a house where you have 7 women. I had 6 sisters and my mom and no dad. I always took care of myself as far as my skin and all the different things that women do to take care of themselves. I followed suit because that's all I knew. So I've always taken pretty good care of myself health-wise.
Good stuff. So, hey, I don't think I could ask you any questions you haven't already gotten over the course of your career. But the one that sticks out to me, that's nagging me, is of your 5 Grey Cups with the Eskimos, which one maybe meant the most or was the toughest to win? You spend much time thinking about that?
You know, I really haven't, but I think they're all special for different reasons. Of course, the first one that I won after Wilkie retired was a very important one because the team was kind of mine now to lead on my own, where me and Wilkie had been there together and it won those first couple. And now all of a sudden I'm on my own and I have to, win one without him being there. And could that be done? And we got down, I remember, in the Western Final early in that ball game and had to come back and win that game and to go on to the Grey Cup and win it. And that was a very emotional Western Final for me because, again, I knew that all that pressure was on my shoulders to keep this streak going. And we finally got it done. And then I think the one we played when me and Wilkie were both there in Montreal, where we were down, I think 21 or 20-0 at halftime or something like that, and we came back and won that game. So those two are very special because one we had to come back and win it, and the other one was because it was basically my team to either win it or lose it.
Man, we got some good ones coming in here. Randolph wants to know, Warren, on election to the Canadian Football and Pro Football Halls of Fame, was the thrill the same or different? What a great question to be able to answer, by the way. Can you explain the feelings between the two?
Yeah, they came about 5 years apart. I think I went into Canada's Hall of Fame in 01 and then 06 in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And they were both exciting because you're considered to be one of the best to ever play that game in your sport. And it doesn't matter where it happens. It doesn't matter when it happens. It is an extreme honor, and you don't expect it. And I really didn't expect it as much in the Canadian Football League as I did maybe in the NFL, because I didn't play that long in the Canadian Football League. But I guess I played long enough to make an impact. And I was even probably more surprised and excited that I was inducted in Canada because, like I said, my career was only 6 years.
One of the questions that slipped off the screen here, I got to go by memory, but from Jeff Hayes, one of our staff members here, wants to know, Warren, your take on the importance of the CFL in the landscape of pro football on the continent. It's a great question because I'm sure you're aware of the CFL's in some serious trouble here right now. If there were no CFL, what would it mean to pro football in North America?
It'd be a huge loss because I love the CFL game, first of all, and a lot of the rules that have been adapted by the NFL and other leagues come off of what has happened up in the CFL. I remember when Oliver Luck, who was the commissioner of the XFL that just ended up folding, he called me about a lot of the rules that we used in Canada when I was playing up there because they love the way the game is played up there. It's a fast-paced game. There's so many different ways to score in that. And then it's another opportunity for young players to get a chance to play football. There's only so many spots available to play down in the United States in the National Football League. But the Canadian Football League gives players from the United States a chance to go somewhere else and play. And then there's a lot of Canadian Football League players who've played their careers up there that want to play professional football as well, and it gives them an opportunity. So I think the more job opportunities that a league can provide for players, that's the most important thing. And then the fans tend to love it because it's more entertainment for them. So I think everybody wins all the way around. And if the CFL is not around, I think everybody loses.
Could you imagine where you'd be without no CFL? And I think that's why you give back as much as you do. You were here for Mark's CFL week in Regina, got a chance to meet you there. Keith Price always told me about you mentoring him coming to the CFL. You have gone out of your way to give back to the CFL.
Well, I owe so much to the league and to the country, first of all, because you guys gave me a chance to play professional football when my own country wasn't going to do that. And if I didn't have that opportunity, who knows what would have happened to my career, because I probably wouldn't have played in the NFL at another position And if the Canadian Football League wasn't around, I probably would have gone on and just finished law school and become a lawyer. I would have never played football again. So I owe so much to the fans up there, to the league itself, to Hugh Campbell for seeing something in me that a lot of other people didn't see in me. And then I've just met some great people in Canada. Some of my closest friends are still there. My first son was born in that country. So I have a lot of great memories about being there. And then, of course, all the winning. When you win 5 straight championships in a professional sport, that is something that not many people have been able to do, and nobody's done it since we did it. So it's a very, very special time in my life.
I think I could confidently say it'll never be done again. When you left the CFL, you must have thought this will never be done again. Shoot, we haven't had a back-to-back winner in a decade. And a lot of that has to do with the salary cap, by the way, Warren. And hey, we all know how Hugh Campbell is an absolute genius with roster construction and personnel identification. But could you see it happening again?
You know, I really can. It's just hard to keep a group together that long in this day and age because of free agency, because of injuries, because of, the guys wanting more money on salaries. You got to remember when a team wins a championship, everybody thinks they're the reason why they want it. So everybody wants more. So everybody's looking to cash in off of that, and that's what breaks up a lot of teams. And then you got to remember, even if you're able to bring that team back together the next year, you're getting everybody's best effort to try and knock you off, and that's something we always had to face during our five cups. Was everywhere we went around the country, everybody was ecstatic about beating us, about knocking us off. So we always had to be on top of our game, and that's something that's tough to do over a period of 5 years. You
made a great point there about how guys want a raise coming off a championship. I'll see that and raise you one. Every player wants a raise, period, after every season now. And with this this mentorship you do of young players, of which I know you still do, because the players tell me, you must have seen a difference in their attitude over the last generation or so.
Yeah, I think guys have a lot more information now, especially financially, about how to take care of their money. I think guys are making more money today than they did back in the day. So you have an opportunity to gain wealth and to take advantage of that wealth. And you also have more knowledge about how to not let people take advantage of you. So I think you should see more guys be able to leave the game, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, or whatever it is, with more money put away if they're smart about what they do with their money because of the amount of money that they're making right now. And that's what I try and tell guys. Use the sport as much as you possibly can for the short period of time that you might be in it. Create relationships while you're in it, because those relationships are going to help you when you're done playing the sport. Because you got to remember, if you have a 10-year career, you're going to be, 30, 32 years old when you get done, depending on when you start. And what are you going to do with the rest of those working years left in your life? So use the sport as a stepping stone for the rest of your life by putting your money away and saving it. That way you can make decisions on what you want to do with the next phase of your life. And then you'll have a better understanding of what you want to do with that second phase.
Good for you, by the way, for doing that, because not enough people are. And the players, they're just so lost with this information. Do you have a few minutes to answer a few more questions, Warren?
Sure.
You're good? Okay. There's a few questions that have come in, or a couple of people have asked the same thing. Who was your favorite receiver in Edmonton?
Ooh, you're going to get some guys mad at me if I say that. I mean,
sorry.
That's one of the. I was blessed with a great group of receivers every year that I was there, and they all had different. Different styles. They all had different. What's the word I'm looking for?
Attributes.
Everybody had a little bit different responsibility within our offense. So you had a Tommy Scott who was more of my third down guy who would come up with the big catch for first downs. You had Waddell Smith, who was a speed guy. You had Brian Kelly who had a million different moves, but always could beat guys on double moves and different things like that. So everybody was a little bit different. But I think the guy I had the best chemistry with probably was Brian Kelly, because we worked a lot together in the off season. He lived down here in Seattle where I was, so we spent a lot of time together. So he was probably the guy I had the most chemistry with.
I forgot, Warren. I think your manager said you have to go. Is that the case? Have you got another appointment on the line?
I do, but I have a couple of more minutes.
Okay. From Dave Spadafora wants to know, where was your favorite CFL road city? And let's just talk about a road stadium. What was your favorite stadium to play in Canada?
Favorite stadium? Probably Commonwealth.
Of course. Taj Mahal.
Everywhere else we went, we were hated, man. Everywhere else we went, people didn't like us. We used to go to Calgary on Labor Day, and people would flick the fire alarms, so we couldn't get sleep at night. People would be out in the streets outside of our hotel chanting, so we couldn't sleep at night. Anything they could do to try and disrupt us before we played. And I remember going to Saskatchewan, just coming in there, just the wind, man. The wind coming off that prairie, you just heard it whistling through your window all night long in your hotel room as you tried to get some sleep the night before the game. So I think everywhere we went was a tough place to play, but the place we most enjoyed as a team to play was in Toronto. We loved to go to Toronto because it was considered the big city. Believe it or not, we used to always look forward to going to Wendy's hamburgers because we didn't have a Wendy's in Edmonton at the time. A lot of guys loved Wendy's, so that's the first place we would go as soon as we got off the airplane. Half the team went to Wendy's.
Oh, man. Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, would love hearing you say that. By the way, Damon Allen's watching, and he says, my man, moonshine. I knew you were going to say Brian Kelly. So shout out from Damon this morning.
I love Damon. I was at Damon's game when he broke the all-time. Actually, I think it was my record for passing yards, total passing yards in Toronto. And he had an outstanding career. I've known Damon for a long time. He's made Canada his home, which is great. And I know his brother Marcus. Have known him for many, many years as well. So one of the great football players to play in Canada, no question about it.
Last one, Warren. This one's from me. I got to ask you, you're talking about the finances of the game and helping young players. I got to ask you about your relationship with Lee Steinberg, because I read his book, never met him until he came in here with Vince Young a couple years ago when the Riders signed him. And you can just imagine, the door flew open and it was a tornado of Lee Steinberg and a whole entourage around Vince Young. This guy... Because he said, you two made the decision together to come to the CFL, right? Because Lee's like, this is what's best. I mean, and did he not give your induction ceremony speech in Canton? Like, you guys just seem to be too... Yeah.
Yeah, he introduced me, and Lee and I go all the way back to when I came out of college. And like you said, he helped me make the decision to go to Canada. He felt like it was the best thing for me to do at the time, presented the pros and cons of whether I should stay and try and make it in the NFL or go to Canada. And the thing that I was more impressed with, Lee was a pretty high-powered agent after that. And even though I'm up in Canada playing in Edmonton, he never left my side. He always stuck with me. And when it was time for me to come back to the National Football League, he orchestrated the whole free agency thing for me to get all those teams to bid on me. And I became the highest paid player in the league at that time. So he wasn't only a great lawyer and great agent of mine, he's also been a great friend over the years. And he's the one that has kind of developed that philosophy about use sports as a stepping stone for the rest of your life. And that's where I got that from him. And he started preaching that to me from the time I came into the Canadian Football League about what I was going to do with my life after football.
Amazing. You were the original Show Me the Money then. Because the movie Jerry Maguire was patterned after Lee Steinberg. Warren, I appreciate the time. So many folks up here were looking forward to this. You did not disappoint, which I knew you wouldn't. Stay safe and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I'd love to be back on again, and I love my fans up in Canada, and I want to thank them all for all the years of being behind me in my career, and hopefully you guys can get hockey back here real soon, because I know you're dying without it.
There's no doubt. And CFL too, and there are millions of Warren Moon fans. Thanks, Warren.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.